Hey guys, this is going to be a tutorial for one of these cute little gummy bear keychains. And I do have a free pattern for this on my Instagram, so if you'd rather follow a pattern instead of a video tutorial, then head over to my Instagram. It's emmy.diy. But so let's get started. I am going to be using a 3.5mm crochet hook. And then the only other things you'll need are any weight 4 yarn, a yarn needle, and some stuffing. And it really doesn't matter what weight 4 yarn you use because almost all of these are different weight 4 yarns. These two are the only ones that are the same brand. The rest of them are all acrylic in different brands, and this one is cotton. So, I mean, they all turn out to be the same size either way, so just use whichever yarn you prefer. And then lastly, I am going to be adding a keychain to mine, and I like to use these little ones because you can get them in all different colors, and I like to try and match them to the gummy bears. And they're just a lot cheaper and easier to work with than key rings. I am going to add a little purple gummy bear to my collection, and this yarn is by the brand I Love This Yarn. This tutorial is going to be somewhat beginner friendly. As long as you know these stitches, then you should be able to make this gummy bear. But I am also not going to be teaching you how to make all of these stitches. So you do need to learn how to do them before continuing this tutorial. So we're going to start by doing a magic ring. Then I'm going to stick my hook and chain 1. We're going to start with 6 single crochet in the magic circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that we have our 6 single crochet, I am just going to pull the tail to tighten it. Now that we've got our 6 single crochets and we've tightened the magic circle, I like to use a little scrap piece of yarn as a stitch marker, but if you prefer the little clips instead of this, you can do that too. But it is going to be very helpful to actually use a stitch marker throughout this project. So this is going to be the head of the gummy bear. We're going to be working from the top down. And in the next row, we are going to increase in every stitch. So you should have 12 stitches by the end of the row. Alright, now I'm going to take my stitch marker out and move it up to the next row. And then in this row, we are going to be making the ears, which are going to be 2 bobble stitches, and all of the other limbs are going to be bobble stitches too. So you're going to do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do a bobble stitch for one of the ears, which is basically just 5 unfinished double crochets, and then you finish them all together in 1 stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And before you finish the bobble stitch, make sure there are 6 loops on your hook, 5 for each of the unfinished double crochets, and then 1 for the stitch before it. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. And then in the next stitch, you got to be careful, and you might want to pull the bobble stitch to the side to make sure you don't accidentally skip a stitch. And you're going to do a single crochet in the very next stitch. And then we're going to do 3 increases. It's going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then now we're going to make the second ear, and we're going to do another bobble stitch. And then we're going to end the row with 3 single crochets. All right, now before we move on to the next row, I am going to go ahead and flip this over, and I am going to weave in this tail from where we made the magic circle, because over time the hole can very easily be opened up and stretched out. So weaving it in before you finish your project just helps it stay secure and tight so that it won't open up. I like to use these yarn needles because the loops are very bendy. They're kind of made out of this, like, I don't know, plastic material. And so I can easily open them up and make them wider to put the yarn in, even if it's frayed at the ends. It makes it super easy. And then I just use it like normal. Now for this next row, we are going to single crochet in every stitch, which is going to be a total of 15 stitches. You want to make sure you don't forget about that stitch that's under where the bobble is. For this next row, we are going to be making the nose. So we're going to start with 8 single crochet. Then we're going to do a bobble stitch for the nose. And then we're going to finish the row with 6 single crochet. For the next row, we're going to alternate between single crochet and then a decrease throughout the whole entire row. So we're going to single crochet, then I'm going to do a decrease, and then I'm going to repeat that over and over again for the rest of the row. Single crochet, decrease, and you should end with 10 stitches at the end of the row. Your last stitch should also be a decrease since we started with a single crochet. There we go. Now in this row, we are going to alternate between a single crochet and an increase. So 1 single crochet in one stitch and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat that pattern for the rest of the row. Single crochet, and this increase, and for this row you should end back with 15 stitches. Now before we move on to the next row, I am going to hold my stitch marker and my working yarn to the side, and I am going to just push this tail end from the magic circle at the beginning inside of the gummy bear's head so that it is out of my way as I'm crocheting. In this row, we are going to be making the arms, and I'm going to start with 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'm going to do a bobble stitch for the arm. Then I'm going to do 4 single crochet for the space between the arms. 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to do another bobble stitch for the other arm. And then we're going to finish with 3 single crochet. And then just pop that bobble stitch back out. If they ever get a little inverted whenever you're finishing it, all you got to do is just stick your finger through the back end and pop it back out. Now we're going to do 2 rows where we single crochet in every stitch. So you should have 15 stitches by the end of each row. That's the end of row 1, and now we're going to do the same exact thing for the next row. All right. Now for the next row, this is the second to last row, and we are going to be doing the little feet of the gummy bear. I'm going to start with 7 single crochet. Then I'm going to do a bobble stitch for the foot. Then we're going to do 4 single crochet for the space between the feet, just like how we did for the arms. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this bobble stitch out since it got pushed in. And there we go. Now it looks normal. 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to do the last bobble stitch, which is for the other foot. And then we're going to finish the row with 2 single crochet. Now for this last row, we are just going to alternate between a single crochet and a decrease for the entire row. Going to single crochet, decrease, and then I'm going to repeat that. So single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. All right, now that we have finished that, I am going to take my scissors and I'm just gonna cut a tail about that much so that I have room to weave in the ends after I stuff it and cinch it all together. Now I've just got some stuffing. And then I also have my bag of yarn scraps, and I like to kind of just use a combination of little yarn scraps and stuffing, like actual stuffing, when I stuff my plushies because, you know, I'd rather use the scraps for something than just waste them and throw them away. And you can't really tell the difference as long as you use a combination of both. I just kind of alternate between the two, do a layer of yarn and then a layer of stuffing. And these keychains are pretty small, so they don't even take a ton of stuffing anyway. I'm just gonna do one last little bit of stuffing. That's a good amount of stuffing. So now I'm just gonna move this out of the way. And now I'm just gonna use my yarn needle and thread the tail end through it. And then the way I like to close them is I just go through this outer loop right here. So you see the stitch that is 2 loops. I like to just go through this outer one. And I just go through that around the whole thing and cinch it up. And I did push the stuffing down, so I might end up adding a tiny bit more, but we'll see. I always decide that at the end. All right, the last one, I'm gonna go through that outer loop and gonna pull it a little. Yeah, I think it's fine without that extra stuffing. I like to pull it real tight and then just kind of push it with my finger, make sure it's flat. And then from here, I like to weave in this end around the circle once and then pull it through and cut the yarn. So I'm just first gonna go down this stitch, flatten it out, and then the little booty hole of the gummy bear right there, I just go in a circle counterclockwise to follow the same direction as the yarn. But also if you're right-handed, it'll be clockwise. because you go clockwise around as you're crocheting. So I just go through a couple loops at a time, usually 2 or 3, and I pull it, and I turn, and I'm just going to do this all the way around. Now, obviously, you can weave in your ends however you like, but this is just what works for me, and I always like to weave in my ends usually a little bit more than necessary, just because I really do not want them to fall apart. So I'm just going to go through the bottom, and I'm going to go through like the back of the head and pull it out. Then I am going to just take my scissors again, and we're going to cut it. And then sometimes my stuffing gets a little packed as I push it down, and so I'm just kind of moving the stuffing around to make it a little more even. And there you go. That is the gummy bear. Now you can leave it like this if you want. It is very cute, but I like to add keychains to mine, and so now I'm going to show you how I add my keychains. So honestly, I do think that it is easier to add the keychain once you've already done a couple rows, but I kind of forgot earlier, but you know, it's a happy mistake because now I can show you how to add it if you also forget. Because yes, it is easier to do it in between rows or whatever. You just pull it through and then close it so it doesn't fall off while you still have your gummy bear open so you can actually reach in there. But it is still possible to do it when it's closed, and I think this is a good way to show you. So the keychain has one end that has the little clasp that's open like this, and then the other end just has the balls like the rest of the keychain. And I normally insert my keychain around like the center of the back of the head. I'm gonna stick my crochet hook, and it's best if you use a small one for this, but I mean 3.5mm already pretty small. I'm just gonna use the same one that I'm already used for the gummy bear, and I'm just gonna go in one stitch, and then I'm gonna pull it out through the other like that, and then I'm gonna take the clasp side of my keychain and hook it on my hook like this so that I can pull it. I'm gonna hold it with my fingers so that it doesn't fall off, and then you basically just maneuver it through the stitch. Hey, looky there, I got it first try. So it's really not that hard to do it if you've already completed your gummy bear, but doing it before the gummy bear is finished is just slightly easier, because then instead of going through the stitches like this, you will just go through, pull it one way, and then pull it through the other side. So either way works, whichever works best for you. And now I am going to take the clasp and hold it still, and then I'm going to insert the beads. And then once you got it in there a little bit, all you got to do, I like to push up like that. You push the clasp and then pull this at the same time to kind of make it easier and just pop right in there. And now you're done. Cute little gummy bear on a keychain. Alright, I hope you guys liked this tutorial, and don't forget I do have the written pattern for free on my Instagram at immy.diy. So if you like making these gummy bears and you don't want to have to refer back to a video each time, you can refer back to the written pattern on my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I appreciate every single one of you watching this video, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!